I was before we came in. I was putting my daughter to bed, and one of the things we do after we read is we watch. In this time of the year, a holiday movie. We're watching Home Alone. Are you a holiday movie guy?
I love The Holiday. Like that's one of my favorite holiday movies.
Oh, nice.
Jude Law, Jack Black. But yeah, no, I love Christmas Story, and my dad always wants to watch like A Christmas Carol, which I always find like a little boring, but he enjoys it, so we do it as a family.
Yeah, that's I love it, and I just like Thanksgiving. Like I just feel like it's one of those holidays where it's like you'd be appreciated by, like, it's not like segmented for one group of people. I feel like just eat, drink, be merry. That's it. I love it.
I completely agree. It's a good excuse to do a lot of that. Definitely.
Yeah. So speaking of like good feelings and along that line, I gotta say it's amazing the depths of your journey as far as your acting career goes, right? Because like you've gone to so many places. Just to become the actor you are today, right? We're talking New Zealand, we're talking England, and sprinkle in some Groundlings. I mean, that's pretty impressive. You did a really great interview, Patrick, with, I forget her name, but the interview was about an hour. And
was the Permanent Rain Press?
That's it. She asks such good, like she is phenomenal with her questions. Because usually, I guess with you and others, if there was a drinking game, if I was younger, I would play where I could guess the first 4 questions without even seeing the interview. But with her, she was really creative. She was like asking you about your theater. And I'm a big believer in like the foundation of actors and who they've become, right? So Patrick, anything you want to say about your early years and just forming who you are today as an actor?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for paying her that compliment, because I think she's very deserving of that. I mean, I cannot agree with you more. That was actually the first interview that I had ever done for for the show, and so it was a long interview, but yeah, really in-depth questions, and she was phenomenal. So thank you for saying that. So I mean, my journey started. I got into this. It was sort of the last thing I thought I'd ever be doing. It was kind of I came into it when I was in college, and I was initially studying economics and business at the school I was at, and it was like a small liberal arts school in Virginia called Hampden-Sydney, and so I kind of had to take a fine arts requirement to finish my core curriculum, or to at least like work towards finishing it.
Right. And
I had some friends tip me off to like take the theater class, it's fun, and the teacher's really nice, and it's not too hard or whatever. So I was like, yeah, I'll try it. And I ended up doing that, and I loved it. Like the first thing I ever did was almost like a silly exercise, and I think I did like a reenactment of Chris Farley and like SNL, the band down by the river thing, and I was like, man, this is so cool. So that literally was my first introduction to performing at all, and that kind of led to me switching my major and auditioning for Romeo and Juliet, and started to do plays in college, and then that all kind of just snowballed into me eventually ending up here in LA for TV film stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, story. And when she asked you, like the way she was just building on top of that, Patrick, it was like so great, because I'm so happy she didn't go down the road of what made you decide to go into acting. What's it like being part of a cast you're being the new, like she just really thought outside the box. And hearing you answer it like that, I just, as somebody who's been interviewing for a while, I appreciate the lengths she went to really find out about your life. So
absolutely. Yeah.
So, there's a couple other things I want to ask you. It's not like you said something in her interview that I liked a lot. I think you were talking about what was it? You were talking about learning about being on set. Was it Zack Snyder? Was it?
Yeah. Rebel Moon, I think is.
Yes. So I had hoped she was going to follow up, but like what I know what that means, but like, what does that mean to you? Learn to be on set. Like, I get it, but like, what did it mean to you, Patrick, when you said that?
Yeah. I think what I meant by that was, it was the first thing that I had done a couple things before that. And again, they were sort of like, I would say, like I'd done a guest star, and I'd done a small part on Barbie, which was like obviously a big budgeted film, but it's still a day, it was like a quick thing. And I'd done a couple other like small TV spots, which are really just like a day of shooting. And that was the first time that I had an extended period of time on a set. So I think that's kind of what I meant by it. Just getting comfortable, one, like having the ability, because I think when you're coming in, one of the hardest things to do is to come into a show or a movie when you're just there for a bit part, when you're just there to fill a spot, and you're kind of just like, the pressure's on you to get it right. They're kind of like maybe less patient. Everyone's been really nice that I've worked with so far, but I think there's a pressure, and also you're the new guy on set. So you want to you don't fully know how to conduct yourself. Like, am I talking too much? Am I not talking enough? Am I not making enough connection? All that stuff plays into your mind. So I feel like Rebel Moon was the first time that I was on a set for an extended period of time. I think I was there for 6 to 8 weeks or so, and I got to just live it. Like the first day you're a little nervous, you're getting used to it, but by the end of the first week, you're just there. You're part of the group. And you can really start paying attention to things then, because you're not just like, this is my one experience on a set so far, I just need to soak everything up. You can relax a bit, and it's like, oh, cool, what are they doing with the camera over there? What the choreography for this is really cool. Let me pay attention to that more. You could there's a lot more to soak in and learn, I think, when you have a extended period of time. And sorry for I guess it's a bit of a long answer, but another great thing is just learning how other actors work. And that was really cool for me. I remember one of the actors having a moment where they were struggling with a line or a monologue or whatever. And that was the first time I had seen someone in that position struggling with it. And I was like, oh, this is okay. This is normal that somebody who's at their level, who's leading this film or helping one of the main characters, is also having a struggle with their lines, or it's just kind of reaffirming oh, we're all imperfect, and we're just trying to do our best to make, I think that just took a lot of pressure off of me as an actor, and it made me feel like going forward, it's okay to do that. So a lot of good things. I feel like I learned a ton just being on that set, kind of like a fly on the wall.
It's one of the smartest things I've heard someone say about 500 episodes. The fact that you've acknowledged that, it's not even seeing somebody struggle, Patrick. It to me would be I want to see them dig their way out of it. How's that? That's the part that would, okay, you mess up once. Say I mess up twice. All right, so are people getting frustrated? How is this person?
Oh shoot! You know what?
Get out of this. That's what I would be like you're saying. That's a really good observation, Patrick.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for saying that. Yeah, and I guess ultimately it's you take, especially early on. I mean, if you aren't trying things and really soaking in the experience and trying to take something from it and bring it to the next job, it's that's where all the growth is. So you got to do as much of that as you possibly can. So I feel very lucky, though. I feel very lucky to have gotten on to a job like that. And I think another point I was also making too is just tying it all in together. But it takes away the mystique of it a little bit, because there's just air around oh, it's a movie and everyone's a certain way, and then you kind of find out it's well, it's not. Everyone isn't a certain way. It's kind of relaxed, and it can be stressful at times. But they're all just people. They're all eating lunch, and they're all it's nice. It makes it just feel more of a job, and right. So there was a lot of good learning experiences from that set and other pretty much every set I've been on.
So I have two things from that. So what I'm going to say, it might be interpreted as mean, but it's not at all. I feel when I look at your life, I look at your career, I look at the way you think, the way you approach acting. I love Cobra Kai. We're going to get into that in a moment. I love it. But I have to say, when I see some of the cast, they do a phenomenal job. But I feel many of them have other interests. I feel for many of them, this is they're closer to the finish line than anything else. I feel with you, this is a pit stop to bigger and better things. And I don't mean that I can't think of another way to craft that question. I just feel while you're doing an amazing job here, I don't think your life goal is to spend, multiple years in a martial arts genre. And if that happens, great. But from your theater background, from all the stuff I've heard you say, you are somebody that's looking to embrace multiple roles with multiple challenges, and I hope that doesn't come across me, because I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody, but this is definitely a pit stop for you. This role, which you are phenomenal in, but it's definitely something that's on the way to bigger and better things.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously it's definitely the hope of mine to just continue. I mean, I think try to take it like one job at a time. And I always, I try not to get too far ahead of myself. However, yeah, I mean, I have very high ambitions for what I would like to do. And there's a lot that like, to your point, I mean, I enjoy the variety of, like, I think the idea of playing the same character on something, if it's a wonderful show and you're with great people, sounds like a blast. And that was actually like initially sort of my dream was to be on like a sitcom and be on that for years, which I still would love to do something like that. But to your point, like, yeah, I love the idea of a new challenge every year, or several new challenges, and just being on as many different sets and trying as many different things as possible. Like Cobra Kai was a new challenge for me. It's like an accent role and fighting, which I'd never done before. And it's like, that's exciting. That's fun. I want to get into stuff like that. So I'm very much looking forward to whatever that next challenge is. And yeah, it's fun to like see how much you can push yourself and like what you're capable of,
Yeah. Patrick, 2 quick questions before we hop into Cobra Kai. One, was your significant other in a Man Called Otto?
She was, yes, she was.
Oh, I love that freaking movie. Like, I feel like
it's so good.
Like, how is not more of a big deal made about that movie? Like, I effing loved it. Like, I watched it like multiple. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, I was like oh my God, it was so. Well, have you seen the original? Have you seen A Man Called Ove or however?
No, I had not. I didn't see the one before Hanks's. No, I didn't see that one.
You should watch that one too. That one's really good. But they're both phenomenal. I liked both of them a lot. Yeah, I was really moved by that movie. I agree with you. I wish there was more. Obviously, I think it was like pretty well received. But yeah, it would be nice to if it had been, maybe garner a little more attention or whatever. I mean, I loved it though. I thought it was a phenomenal movie. I really enjoyed it.
Patrick, based on filmography, is Tom Hanks the GOAT?
Oh God, man, it's funny. It's funny if you ask me, like, my idea, man. I love Tom Hanks. But I'm like, I would almost say that, God, he's 100% up there. But I'm almost like, so man, that's a great question, but it's hard to answer because there's so many, like, there's different, like, if you're going to talk about box office versus like nominations or whatever, like I'm really impressed with Tom Cruise, I think, just because at the end of the day, like, if you're just getting that many people to pay to watch a movie time and time and time again, and you've garnered like Oscar noms and other, it's like, I think that's pretty impressive. But it's funny to me, like, I feel like I'm the least actory actor in that way. If you ask me what my favorite, how Letterboxd does that thing at interviews sometimes? Like,
yes.
What your top 4 favorite, and everyone's always choosing something from like the 1960s or 70s or whatever. And I literally think mine would be like Wedding Crashers, Dumb and Dumber. Like, I would probably pick I just really enjoy those kind of films.
Yeah, Dumb and Dumber especially. I had a chance to talk to Jeff Daniels a couple months ago, and boy, was he's so funny.
I love that guy. That's so cool you got to talk with him.
Yeah, he does a great scene. I don't know if you've seen the show called Newsroom. He's amazing in that. But how about Cruise is thanked by Spielberg for saving the cinema after coming off of COVID? Like, is there any? And then Cruise, do you think, okay, I get a stunt double, I want to live this great life? Dude is jumping off of like motorcycles and ramps with parachutes. Like, he is all about creating something that is beautiful and magical for the audience. Yes. Like, that is what acting is about, I think.
Absolutely. Like, the fact that he could probably outsource like almost every job, because he just has, he's at the highest possible level. But like, to your point, I mean, he's doing everything. He's doing all his own stunts. It seems like he's I obviously like haven't been in a film with him. I would love to be, but like, from what it sounds like, he's very hands-on in the, producing process and just getting the final product, like, absolutely right, which I really respect his work ethic. It's amazing, Yeah.
But the last thing is, you talked about being on set, observations. Christopher Nolan has a no cell phone on set policy. Can you imagine being the person that he had to create that rule for? Like, why would you ever, when you're in front of greatness, or why wouldn't you be doing what you were doing on the set, observing, watching, learning? I mean, it's better than any class, any acting coach. Absolutely. But yet you've got your face buried in Facebook on your cell phone with one of the greatest directors, if not the greatest director of our generation.
Oh gosh,
That's insane, Patrick. That's insane.
I love that he can have that policy though, and so same with I think like Quentin Tarantino has it as well, and I love that like again actors who probably could have a lot of power or they're A-listers whatever, they could probably be like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be on my phone. They all respect it because they all respect the medium and they want to get the best product. I think it's great. I think you're already like we already miss so much of our lives being on our phones anyway. Like it's I love that rule, but I know it is funny to think about the guy that he probably had to make that rule for. Jeez,
it's like you're making like this B movie with a director that's in his first what are the challenges you had? I was thinking about how hard this is, right? So yeah, you're in great shape, you're athletic, I get it, but not only are you taking on this role where it's a new role, it's new for you. You've got an accent which are tricky too because if it's too much of a if it's too thick, it sounds foolish. So you got to get that right balance. Yeah, then you've got to get your lines and your attitude, and then you've got to get the physical stuff. So not all roles are like this, and that's kind of what's pretty amazing about. I feel like the last. So my favorite parts of season 6 are you. It's her name is Zara, and I'm Raina, and Brandon Lee. I feel like those three things, those three casting choices, I wish were made in like season 2 and 3. I wish they were like way earlier than where they have.
Oh, that's really nice of you to say.
Yeah, that sucks that we're at because I have issues with season 6. I mean, I love the show like a child, so I feel like I can be critical of it because I love it. Like I'm not just an internet hater shitting on something just to shit on it, but
right, of course,
there's no doubt about it. The three best things about season 6 so far have been the three of you. But talk about those three challenges, Patrick, right? Because you got a lot of things going on all at once. Like you're navigating some pretty choppy waters here.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first got the audition for the role, I remember my manager was pitching me for it, and he had just like kind of been like, "Hey, there's this role in Cobra Kai, and it's the breakdown is it's a karate machine, martial arts experience, encouraged. It's going to be an accent. It's going to be," and I was like, "There is no way." I was like, "These are several things that I don't feel like I can do." And I put it on tape, and sometimes the things that you feel like maybe I can't do it, so I'm just going to kind of do it and have fun. Sometimes those end up being the jobs that you surprise yourself with, and you're just like, oh, that actually. So I remember putting it on tape and feeling really natural, and it ended up like obviously getting the call back, and it all worked out. But there were a lot of challenges. It's like I think the hardest thing was coming into a set full of martial artists. I mean, you talk about Brandon, who plays Kahn, and Raina, who plays Zara. She's a 13-time world champion. He's an incredible martial artist.
Incredible.
So it's a lot of pressure. And again, my character too, having to be one of the best fighters in the tournament, a lot of pressure to come in, like not having had that background. So I think not only was there, it's like you're putting on an accent, but it's so funny. It's like I think I'm pretty good at putting blinders on once I'm there. It's like I am doing this role. Unless I get fired, I'm doing this role one way or another, and it's going to be what it's going to be. So I'm just going to like narrow in and do everything I can to, and put my faith in like the stunt guys. And when it comes to the accent, like, you got to do a certain amount of prep and all that stuff, but you just have to kind of lean on the people around you and trust and just give it everything you got. And I'm really pleased with how everything turned out, because it was scary. It was scary to, have so many things feeling like they're working against you, and having it, turn out okay is good.
Yeah. So, a lot of people have been comparing you to the guy in this movie. By the way, Patrick, an original 1985 Rocky IV, not worth a ton of money, but I love it because it's one of the best movies ever. But a lot of people comparing it. I don't know that I see it as much as everybody else. Like, I feel like Axel has I think he's got a big heart. And I do. I think we see cracks. Whereas Drago was very much a machine who was bent on hurting, killing, and winning at all costs. I feel like that is like nothing about what your character is about. Yeah. And let's also sprinkle in the fact that he's being abused, which is ridiculous, right? And how much of that is to do. So I feel like, okay, if we're trying to make the Europe connection or the Eastern Europe connection, okay, I get it. If we're trying to make the big bad tough, okay, I get it.
Right.
But
on the surface, I see what you mean. It's like
I think your character is a lot deeper than Ivan Drago. I feel like I see why people see that and say that. But I feel like we're dealing with apples and oranges at the end. And I love where your character's arc is, because Drago was kind of A to B. This is who he is. Your character, we're going to get to it. I have a feeling I know what's going to go on with your character, but like I feel like I love the depth your character has. I think I'm right. I hope I'm right. But.
Well, thank you for saying that. And I was very I was obviously like very pleased too that I didn't just have to be this kind of like, one note character of
right.
Time. Like, and honestly, I don't know how good I would have been at doing that. Hopefully, I don't know. I mean, I feel like my personality is very different from the parts of him that are, really intense, or just kind of like you said, like the big bad guy. Like, I feel like that's not, I really found a lot of comfort in like those vulnerable scenes, like the scene on the beach with Mary. Like that stuff almost just felt more natural to me. I was like, I can relate to this kind of like awkward, like gawky, kind of like, unsure what to do. Like that felt more like me. But yeah, no, thank you for saying that. I definitely think, and thanks to the writers, I guess, for giving him that arc. But I'm really pleased that he has a lot more dimensions to him than just like a one note character who's just kind of a jerk and there to hurt everybody. He's got he's dealt with a lot. He's been conditioned to be a certain way, and I think he's like starting to see cracks of what with Sam's empathy and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a great character arc. I enjoy it.
What's your take on the abuse part that he undergoes, and Sam sees it, and I think he sees that Sam is very understanding of that. Mm-hmm. I think it's an essential part of your character. I think seeing him, not that I enjoy seeing somebody get in pain, but I think it's a huge part of how he is the way he is. What's your take on the abuse part, Patrick, that he is undergoing?
Yeah, I mean, man, it's you really feel for him, and I think it makes you. I don't know, it kind of makes you think about just people in those power situations. It's like he's obviously looks up to his sensei, and I think he cares about winning and karate and fighting because he's sort of been conditioned to care about that stuff. And I think it's sad. It's a really sad dynamic, because I think I'm sure there are people who can relate to it, unfortunately, and like that is it's like that power dynamic of someone, he's supposed to be 17, he's a kid, he doesn't know any better, and this is so it's awful to see, but I also think there's like some hope in it too, because it's nice to see him sort of maybe realizing and finding himself throughout all that, and eventually, like, hopefully he's not going to be stuck in that always. But yeah, no, it's so I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. And I tell you where I think this is going. I think, and obviously you can't say this, so I'm just talking to, but I think, because there's nobody left that could beat Axel. There's not one person left. Like he could have killed Robbie if things hadn't gone different. Like I felt like that we were heading down a rocky 4 road in that regard. But I feel like people are going to step up against Sensei Wolf and get Axel's back. That's what I think a large part of part 3 is going to be about. I could be wrong. I could be right. Patrick, blink twice if I'm right.
I'd love to tell you. I mean, we'll have to talk again or something around part 3. I'd love to chat about it. I know I always get scared. I'm like, I even worry sometimes with other answers. I'm like, I hope I'm not going to say anything I shouldn't say. But
and the other thing that your character, the hate that or shade that your character is catching is killing Quan, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So Kreese brings the knife into the fight. Quan says hey, this is a great idea. I'm going to pick this thing up and then I'm going to use it in a fight. But somehow,
my fault.
Axel's the asshole. Like,
I know.
Like when people are like, it's comment after comment. Hey, like,
should have been Axel.
Yes, or you killed Quan. I know. He sure as hell did not kill Quan. Quan made a series of bad choices that ended up in his demise. But I don't know, man. I'm not trying to be the different guy, but that's insane.
I appreciate that, man. I mean, look, at the end of the day, like, I think Axel is just defending himself, and I don't even know if he saw the knife. I mean, like, I think he's just defending himself, and it just, yeah, I kind of love, I was talking to Brandon about that recently, actually, just, and people have asked, like, when we read that scene initially, what our reactions were. And obviously, like, the first thing that comes to mind for me being involved with it is like, oh man, we're going to get that fan reaction of like, I can't believe you did that. Because he's such a loved character. And like, I was bummed that he had to go, but it also, at the same time, it's like, you're going to get a certain fan response. Like, some people will see that, but we're both like, just, talking about how it is kind of a cool thing to be involved in. I mean, obviously it's not him, it's a shame that he has to go like that, but it is kind of an iconic moment in the show's history to be involved in. So like, we're both pretty excited about it, so
it killed off way too early, in my opinion.
I know.
Because you've developed this guy and made him look so tough over the first part of season 6, right? And then it's like, oh, I don't know. That's one of the things I really wasn't a huge fan of when it came to that. But it's not my story to tell, so it doesn't matter. What is it like working with Raina and what is she like? Because you guys are close in a large part of the middle part of season 6. What has it been like working with her? As you said, her credentials are unbelievable.
Oh my God, she literally more than her talent in the show as a martial artist, as an actress, all that. She's incredible with that too. But she is just I cannot say enough good things about her. She's such a sweet human being. I love working with her. She's wonderful. I think she's going to do incredible things. I would not be surprised if she's like the next big action star. She's going to do a lot. She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's got a winning personality, and she's just a good person. And that goes such a long way. It like almost like catches people off guard when someone's like that kind and also that good at what they do. So I loved it. I really enjoyed working with her.
She's got a cockiness that really sells. Like, she's got an arrogance that, like, I believe it. Because one of my other issues with season 6 is not everyone looks like the elite fighter that we're supposed to believe that they are. But like you do, Brandon does, and I get some people have a background in it, so it's a little easier.
Yeah.
But how often do you are you? Because sometimes I feel like when they cut to like whoever's like working with them, in your case, Matt Mullins, right? He's
so good. Yeah.
But I feel like he's not cleaning up a lot for you. I feel like you're doing a lot on your own. Like, I feel like Matt's not carrying the entire load. Am I?
So Matt, we basically, I mean, first of all, I got to thank Matt because another incredibly nice guy. He really, his teaching method, because he would kind of he obviously would walk me through every beat of every fight. Like, he was showing me how it was done, and he would basically, they always do a stunt pass. There's they will bring stunt guys in. I did get to do, I learned every beat of every fight, and I did every beat of every fight. So there's a lot of it where it's just me, but there's also moments like wides and other things too, where it is Matt and even other, and oh my God, that guy is another person who's just like incredible to watch. I would never want to mess with him. He's an amazing fighter. So, and just a good guy and really like so instrumental in helping me get to where I needed to go. I mean, I could not have done this without him. Truly. He helped me. He helped me so much. And he was so patient with me and just like, I mean, really, really great. I felt so lucky to have him and all the other stunt guys and Ken Bearfield and Don Lee and everyone who helped out. It was.
So he's like your stunt though, but on the same hand, he's also a mentor. He's also somebody you can go to. Like, I tell you what, like, that's like an MVP for an actor to have somebody like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He was a wonderful guy. He is.
Yeah. What do you think? And I think the last part will show this. What was Axel's life like, you think, before we get to meet him? How hard do you think it's been? The journey has been for him in Croatia. I'm assuming is where he grew up. Yeah. How difficult has that journey been, Patrick? For what? I mean, obviously you know the story, so this is kind of a hard question for you. But what can you say about his journey? Difficult, like whatever you can say.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Even just, I think the fact that you see what's going on with Sensei Wolf, like the abuse stuff. I mean, I think anyone he's clearly like, this is not the first, this is not the first time that has happened. I mean, you get the sense that this has been happening for a very long time. And also you get the sense that if he is as good of a fighter as he is, he's been in that world for a while. And then you see him interact with someone outside of that world, a girl, Sam, and he's like, it's like so foreign to him. Like he doesn't know how to. So it's like there's a lot of backstory in the text. Just you get a lot of insight to what he struggles with and like what he's like as a person. So I think he, I feel for him. I think he's a character you feel for. I think he's had a hard upbringing, and I think he is so maybe passionate or dead set on winning, but maybe he doesn't even know why. It's just something that he's been kind of like born into. That's how I approached it anyway. So I love him. Like you're saying, I love the analogy, like, seeing cracks of what other, people can be like and other ways you can live your life. It's nice for him to like see some stuff outside of just like these tournaments and just that one track mind of like winning. And yeah, that's a good answer. And I always think of like how crazy, like, or how mean Sensei Wolf is. But there's nobody crazier than Kreese. Like bringing a knife into a competition. Like think about the batshit crazy things this guy's done, Patrick. I mean, we're going back to 1984 before this movie, the one in the middle. But like he's been batshit crazy for a long time. Like he's escaped jail, but all of a sudden I guess he's free to go. He's good. He's got nothing on his record. He's got PTSD. Yeah, I know, right? He says that. Yeah.
And he's looking for his knife because he wants to stab a guy he's been planning. Like there is nobody crazier on this show than Kreese. He might be the craziest character on television today. Yeah,
he is crazy. but I mean, Silver's pretty wild too, man. They're
actually that's a close second. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, Silver's kind of nuts too.
Definitely. No, they're funny guys. I love their characters, honestly. I love they're fun to watch. They make the show exciting. Really exciting.
Patrick, we do talk about observing, right? You've been talking about that on some sets, which I think is great. What have you observed on this set, working with these people and Ralph and Bill and hey, whoever? How is the observation been going on this end for you?
I think this is such a well-received show, and there's so many fans, and there's so many people who really care about. I think it's just like a very well, there's a lot of love going into the show behind the scenes, for lack of a better word. I mean, like the show creators are John, Josh, and Hayden. They're always there. Like at least one of them is always there. Ralph, Billy, these original characters, these guys, they're always there. Like there are moments where they could easily be like off in their trailer or doing something else. They're on the set, even if they're just in the background of a scene. They're there. They're not. They don't have their doubles in there. It's like they're always. So it makes me notice how everything, it really starts at the top. It starts at like setting a precedent of like, this is the kind of set we're going to be on. I think it just makes a show, when a show feels like a big family and not these individual people coming in and with their own agendas, it's just like that makes the best work environment ever. And you have to have that camaraderie to make these things work. Like people are just like, oh, when you got a diva coming in or someone who's like, it just throws everything out of whack. Like you just need, what I mean? And I think they set such a great example of that for the younger characters who I think have passed that along. And all us coming in for this season just felt like we're almost like blown away at how welcoming everybody was. So I think that really is the ticket, in my opinion. It makes such a big difference.
Patrick, I have a few more questions, and thank you for all this time. That is really nice of you. My only thing is, I feel like the Sakai, I feel like it's a little bit too big. I would have loved to seen like you guys in the valley. Like I don't know, I just would have. It's just I'm enjoying it and I love it. I just wish it's a very big event with a lot of people involved.
Right.
And I feel like sometimes that takes away key moments from people that should have those moments. Like I want to know more about Axel. Like I want to know more, but instead we're kind of following some other side stories that really, okay, whatever. I get it. It's not my show. It's not my story to tell. I get it. But it just would have been nice to see you guys in season 2, 3, 4, the three of you, Brandon, Raina. It would have been nice to have that happen. But again, I'm creating my own alternate universe here, I guess, at this point.
Well, that's very. You're very kind to say that about our characters. I'm glad you enjoyed them.
It sucks that we're getting them at the tail end. I'm kind of pissed about it.
I mean, look, we loved everybody on the show so much, and it'd be so fun to keep exploring the characters and continuing on. But it's fun to come into the last season, still just, you know, make an impact and end it on a good note. But yeah, no, it's I think it's hard. You know, there's a lot of main characters in the show, and there's a lot of different, like you said, side stories that need to be wrapped up, and so but yeah, I mean, that's nice of you to say. I'm really glad you enjoyed our characters so much.
Yeah, I really have. You know, the one thing that I did want to ask you was, you know, is there a character from a fan's point of view that gets under your skin more than the rest?
Oh God, I think I.
And this is Patrick. This is a character. This is not an actor. I'm going to be clear.
Oh God, I worry about saying this stuff. Jeez, I feel like I can't. I'm being so boring right now, but I feel like if I answer this, I'll like indirectly, like I'm gonna like hurt somebody's feelings if I say so. I actually like.
Actually, it's a compliment, Patrick, because you're saying that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
I know. Man, honestly,
do you want me to go first? Do you want me to go? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you go first.
No. I just go ahead. No, I want to hear your answer first. I've been waiting for you.
I mean, honestly, I wish I had a stronger. I think the characters that I don't get as bothered. Like, I don't think like people like. I think I'm more focused on like, oh, that's like a standout character, like something like Johnny Lawrence. I'm just like, yes. Yeah. Like every time he's on screen, I'm just like, this guy. Like this guy is incredible. He just, you know, I just love how he brings like a lightness and, you know, yeah, I don't know if there's someone that I'm like, oh my God, I can't stand this character. Do you have somebody?
I got one. So I've said this in every Cobra Kai interview. People are like, this guy's got to get a life. But I hated Anthony LaRusso forever.
Oh
and
God,
he's kind of redeemed himself a little bit.
He's so funny. I love the whole what was going on between him and Kenny in this season. That was cracking me up.
Oh, there's a big. I don't. But the one guy I feel like is taking his place now is Dimitri. Like. Dimitri's like giving Kenny like shit, like don't tag him. If there's anybody that doesn't belong in this competition, it's Dimitri. Kenny is one of the best characters. You talk about a character that was developed great and then kind of like left to do whatever. Yeah. I don't know. He's terrific. Dallas is a terrific actor. Again, one of those actors that sells the martial arts part really well. Mm-hmm. But like, yeah, Dimitri's getting under my skin a little bit. This part.
I'll tell him, man. I'll let him know. I'll be like, hey, do you mind? No. He's so funny though. I love. Oh man, yeah. I mean,
what's part 3 look like?
Oh God. Well,
so you don't have to be specific, okay?
Yeah, I'll be as vague as I can, just for. But I would just say, you know, like expect it to still be exciting. You know, I think it feels like it's hard. It's going to be really hard to top the way that part 2 ended with that brawl and everything. That, you know, it's just a pretty insane episode, and I think very shocking and to a lot of the fans, and also very exciting. But yeah, I think just expect the energy to keep up and things to still be fun and exciting. And yeah, I think I do think people will enjoy. I really hope people enjoy how things wrap up. I think we got a good last 5 episodes. I think people
when it comes to Axel, do we see more of the man versus the machine?
I think so. I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I've never like said anything that's like kind of. Yeah. I mean. Yeah, I can say that. I guess.
Yeah. I feel like you're not giving any. Like. Yeah. I mean. Yeah. I mean. It's trending that way anyway. He clearly likes Sam. I mean. He by the end of this, we could see his father-in-law become, you know, Daniel LaRusso. That would be great. if it goes the extra mile.
Oh my goodness!
How much fun is it playing the guy that is like completely invincible? Like you are like you're creative, but like the villain that like there's no way there's a fighter in this bunch that could touch Axel. That's got to be like that's that old school like Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's like that. Yeah. Old school Steven Seagal, like just the
yeah.
There's that mystery. There's enough mystery behind him going into the third part.
Right.
To me, you were the saving grace. You and Raina were the saving grace coming into, and I'm starting to be repetitive here, but you were the saving grace coming into that third part, and I'm really excited to see where those two storylines go. I'm really, really excited for that.
I think you're gonna like it. I think you're gonna enjoy it, man. What was the question? My mind went blank for a second.
What the hell did I ask you?
Oh yeah, being the fighter that the like.
The badass kind of old school.
Yeah, it's so fun. I mean, again, I've never played a character like this. And once I became more comfortable with the fighting stuff, it's really fun. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of awesome to not, and another thing you don't think about, but it's like when you're running the choreo, if you're the invincible fighter, you're not really taking hits, or even like, I mean, you're dodging hits sometimes too, but like that's like a whole nother thing to learn, is like how to take a punch and go with the hand, or go like sort of like stack something and all that stuff, or get kicked and eat it. My characters, it's all like me basically. I know in the fight with Robbie, obviously there's like some dodges and stuff, but like for the most part, it's really just me going on the offensive. So it's just fun. It's fun.
Very Marvel, like, it's kind of like the,
yeah.
But you're right. And in some ways, it is kind of like the WWE, because a lot of these actors and stunt people have to absorb those hits, right? Like, and sell that. So that's kind of that's another angle I just kind of don't think about. Like, this is a much more complicated acting opportunity, I feel like, than most are, because again,
it was a huge challenge. I think I thought way more about the fighting than I did the acting, because it was almost like like I almost didn't have. Of course, I had time to think about both, but like sometimes you would have like a day to learn an entire fight, and I'd be in my hotel room with a video of it that like propped up and just practicing, because sometimes you would just have such a limited amount of time, but we got it all done.
And is that a mind trip too? Because you got to get so I got to get we talked about this earlier. You got to get the physical part stuff. Then you got to make sure you don't go down on your lines and mess those up. I don't know, man. It just seems to me that's a lot. There's a lot going on.
It's a lot. One of the trickiest things to do, I would say, is in the fighting. Obviously, like I kept reminding myself, as you're doing this, don't show or have a tell in your face that this is the first time you've done martial arts. Like, even if you don't think it's like, and the stunt guys were really good about reminding me that. They're like, remember, relaxed, confident. Like, they would come up to me before and they'd be like, dude, like, remember, this is what you do. Like, you can't be, as an actor right now, you might be feeling really uptight and sort of like, oh God, I hope I remember this. But like, you just need to bring that confidence. So that was a really tricky thing. And, being that force, but also trying not to have a tell in my face. Like, sometimes I felt like I was like, almost, you could see on my face, like I was almost like trying to remember what the move was, or like how to, and luckily I think it worked out well, but that was definitely a challenge of like, get the body language right. And that's for me, that's a huge thing for characters.
Yeah.
There's such an amazing, like, if you're an actor and you're struggling with a character, and this doesn't work for everyone, I swear body language can change how you come. Like, I've done auditions before where I'm really struggling with an audition. I'm like, I don't really know how to get this. This feels weird. And then I'll pull a chair up and rest my leg on the chair and kind of lean in. Changes everything. It's like simple things like that. It sounds so funny, but you really can, by getting a certain body language, I think you can really help like bring a character to life. So that helped with him. And that was something I had to remind myself a lot. Like, just, keep that intensity and confidence at all times. So.
Yeah, there's a stillness there, and you really have to, because you have to be the force. It's not like you're a guy that you're this mediocre fighter that's taken 3 or 4 shots and then you're done with them. Like, right. You have to be. You're basically the Terminator at this point, right? My last question to you is, you mentioned some comedies earlier, right? Dumb and Dumber, like right up my alley. How? On your personal agenda, would you like to be in something along those lines?
Absolutely.
I
actually just did I did a guest star on a show up in Vancouver with Owen Wilson. That was like a golf comedy, and I just wrapped that not too long ago. I don't know if I can say too much about it, but it's a golf comedy with I think Jason Keller wrote it. It's going to be on Apple TV, and it's and that was like, that was amazing, because it was not too long after Cobra Kai, and it's like a very comedic character, and it was so much fun. And I just want to do as much of that as I possibly can. I mean, like I always say, like anything Ben Stiller's doing or Seth Rogen or any of those guys, like that's kind of my dream. I'd love to do more comedy, but I also, after doing this, I would like to do more action stuff as well.
Yeah, keep it fresh. keep it fresh and change it up. You know, yeah, man, you're on the road to big and better things. You are unbelievable in this, and I hope you come back before or sometime after sees the last part, because it's been so much fun talking to you, Patrick. I see your trajectory, and boy, I'm really happy for you.
Thank you so much for saying that, and really and truly, thank you for those are some of the best questions I've ever been asked. I really appreciate just your research and everything that really. Yeah, those are some great questions. Maybe think a lot, and I really appreciate that. So it's great talking with you. Hope we do it again soon. Let's do it for part 3 or something.
Patrick, real quick, Dumb and Dumber, Tommy Boy. Give me a third.
Well, I always go Wedding Crashers. I feel like Wedding Crashers is like that's Vince Vaughn to me is like peak comedy. Like him in that movie. Do
you tell Owen Wilson like, hey, how much you loved it?
I was careful of that because it goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's
you don't want to gush.
Say how much it's like I wanted to do it immediately. At the end, he was such a nice guy, and we had like moments, but I let them come in. I wasn't like going out of my mode because he's got a job to do. You know what I mean? Like he's there. I don't want to pull, but at the end, I was like, it's an honor to work with you, and that was fair. But it wasn't. I didn't do too much. I didn't like just kind of But
first day on set, telling him how much you loved Wedding Crashers.
Exactly. I wanted to. I was like, this is crazy, but I tried. I tried to control myself.
Patrick, thank you for this, and have yourself a wonderful night. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You too, man. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You too.